Hi, my name is Linda Bjork. I am the founder and executive director of Hope for Healing, and this is my story. Perhaps you are familiar with the Japanese art form called Kinsuji, where they take broken pottery and they reassemble it using a mixture of lacquer and gold dust. And it creates something that is beautiful and unique, and it's actually stronger than it was before. It transforms from broken to beautiful. And my story is a transformation story from broken to beautiful. There are different kinds of broken. For example, say you're crossing the street and you accidentally drop your cell phone and the screen cracks, and you might think, oh, dang it, I broke my phone. But you might just keep on using it because it still works. Well, for me, my basic brokenness was lifelong feelings that I was not good enough, that I did not matter. And in fact, I was invisible. I felt broken, but I could still live my life. I could still function. Well, there's another level of brokenness. For example, you're crossing the street, you accidentally drop your cell phone, and now a truck runs it over. Now we have a different situation. It's not just broken, it is crushed, and it no longer functions very well, if at all. For me, being crushed was struggling with debilitating depression and social anxiety. It was as if my comfort zone just collapsed and I did not feel safe anywhere or with anyone. And I could not feel happy regardless of the circumstances around me. So, what was it that ran me over? What was that truck? Well, we all have challenges and trials in our life, and I am no exception. I have dealt with poverty, and I have dealt with sickness, and I have dealt with trauma. Like the time I survived a catastrophic engine failure in a small airplane in flight. And the plane was shaking so bad, I thought it was going to fall apart. And we had to find a place to land because we couldn't make it to the runway where we were trying not to die or to damage people or property. And it was scary. It was really scary. I've also arrived at the scene of a motorcycle accident in time to see my son's broken body lying in the middle of an intersection, surrounded by flashing lights and emergency personnel. And that is an image that I will never forget. Also, one time I took my teenage daughter in for some simple outpatient surgery to help correct some female issues she was having. It was just a matter of cutting and cauterizing. And the procedure was complete. The doctor said, go home, get some rest. Little bleeding should be normal, but watch for infection and for blood clots. I took her home, put her to bed, let her rest. About every half hour or so, I would tiptoe in to see if she was okay. And she was sleeping peacefully. Well, after a few hours, I got a text. I was in the kitchen. She was in a room and just said, Mom, can you come to my room? I need to show you something. So I went into her room and I said, Hey, you're awake. How are you doing? And she didn't answer me with words. Instead, she threw off her covers and she was soaked in blood from her chest all the way down to her feet. And there are not words adequate to describe the shock and the panic and the terror that I felt, also coupled with horrible guilt because I had been checking on her the whole time and I thought she was okay, when in reality, she was bleeding to death right under my nose. I have also received a phone call in the middle of the night that my 9-month-old grandson had had a seizure and was not expected to make it through the night. He was life flighted to Primary Children's Hospital, but they did emergency surgery to try to relieve the pressure on his brain, followed by another very delicate brain surgery to try to preserve his life and to correct the problem. And they were successful in being able to preserve his life. But unfortunately, during this situation, he did sustain brain damage. I also have another beautiful grandchild who was diagnosed with cancer at age 5 months. So we all have challenges and trials in our lives, and we do the very best we can to be able to handle them and to move forward. But sometimes we have things that are so big or so unexpected or so many things in a row that we don't handle them very well, and we allow ourselves to become overwhelmed. And when that happens, we can be in danger of slipping into depression. And that is what happened with me. It was as if I slid into a deep, dark hole that was so deep and so dark that sunlight and happiness and hope could not reach me. And in this dark hole, there were no windows and there were no doors. And I did not see any way out. I thought, well, this is my new reality. This is as good as it gets. And from this point on, the only thing that I can hope for is to be able to endure in misery for the rest of my life. And I stayed in this place for about 5 years, but almost no one knew about it because I was very, very good at hiding it. I wanted to look like everything was okay. Now, about 5 years into it, my sister, who was training to become a life coach, she had planned this women's retreat. She had rented a condo in the mountain. She was going to invite a group of women to come up and learn how to be happy and find fulfillment in life for 3 days and 3 nights. She had no idea what I was going through, but she invited me to come. And when I received her invitation, it made me sick. I thought, there is no way. First of all, I cannot handle being around a bunch of people, strangers, for day and night for 3 days without any means of escape. And second of all, it's not going to do any good because nothing works and there's nothing that she's going to be able to teach me that is going to make any difference. So I did not want to go. But the idea wouldn't leave my head. And so I gathered all of my courage and I went. And I am so glad that I did, because that decision changed my life. It is as if my sister lowered a ladder down into my deep, dark hole, and she showed me a way to climb out. And it was very much a ladder. It was not an elevator. It was not instant with the press of a button. It was hard and it took time and it took effort, but it worked. I have learned that healing is not like flipping on a light switch. It's not instant at the press of a button. It is more like a sunrise where the changes from moment to moment might be imperceptible, but they do come and they are beautiful and it is powerful. I have also learned from my experiences that the feelings that I had of being broken and of being crushed are actually quite common, even among people that look like they have it all together. I wrote a book about my experiences. It's called Crushed, A Journey Through Depression. And I have received so many letters from people who have read it and said, wow, I felt like I was reading my own story. I felt like you were in my head. And they felt seen and they felt understood. And it gave them hope that they could heal too. And this is not just people who are struggling with depression and anxiety. These are all kinds of different people dealing with all kinds of different issues. Because even though our life experiences are very different, the feelings and the emotions that we have are actually quite similar and relatable. And that is what Crushed is about. This is me opening up myself, allowing myself to be vulnerable so that I can help other people, because I want to be someone who offers a ladder to anyone who feels trapped in a dark place. This is also why I created Hope for Healing, to empower people to become their best selves. I invite you to look through the resources that we have, the free books, the free downloads, the free audio courses, and see what we can do to help empower you to become your best self. I invite people everywhere to join with me in making the world a better place by working on the only person that you truly have the power to change, and that is yourself.